Alright, so we are here outside the Aurora Theater, the Century 16 as it was at the time of the shooting. It's still Century. They changed it up a little bit, the looks of it. But it was the morning of July 20th, roughly at 12:30 in the morning. This was a midnight showing of The Dark Knight Rises, where it just got right to the intense scene where a lot of shooting and chaos was going on in the movie. Is when the offender decided to make his move, came in one of the emergency exits in the theater, and threw tear gas and started opening fire. At the time, people didn't know whether this was, part of maybe a theatrical thing that the theater was putting on, or, really what it was. There was not a great panic immediately. It was until he went in the theater next door, opened fire there, and bullets started coming through the wall into the other theater again, which people started to realize, okay, maybe something's going on, and people started moving. The shooting lasted probably about 15 minutes or so, again, where 12 lost their lives, 13 including the baby. Over 70 people were injured. Many of it was from the actual shooting, some from the tear gas, some from just fleeing the scene, kind of getting trampled and stuff like that. So numerous, countless injuries there. Aurora police, first responders acted very quickly on it. The gunman was apprehended in the back of the theater by his vehicle, trying to unjam a gun that had jammed up. This could have been a lot worse than it actually, it was worse. I mean, you can't say that it actually was. At no time you anticipate to go to a theater with your family, your loved ones, yourself, however you went, and not to be coming home. Yeah, a very sad day on July 20th, 2012.
Alright, so my recollections of that evening was I was at this theater here in Castle Rock. Josh and myself had come to see The Dark Knight Rises, and we were all pretty excited. There was lots of showings, pretty packed house. Of course, we watched the movie, enjoyed it, came out to do kind of what we usually do at the end of movies, just talk about what we saw, kind of review them before there was movie reviews on YouTube. We just come out here and talk, we didn't talk to you guys. And even on opening nights, there's usually one cop or something, just making sure no one's being rowdy. Since Castle Rock, there's not a lot open that late. But that night there was multiple cops. So it was very, very strange to us because we're like, what's going on? They were all heavily armed, which is definitely very different than what you usually see, I guess. I'm sure they usually have a lot of stuff. They're just not openly walking around with it. So, but like Matt had said, it was before kind of social media really bloomed into what it is today. So we really didn't know what was going on. I think Josh might have had a phone call from his mom to see where he was at. And by the time I got home, obviously I figured out what had happened, and it's really tragic. Unfortunately, being in Colorado, we've had to experience this one multiple times. You've seen it. Obviously, we've done our Columbine video. There's the Boulder King Supers one recently, and then this one. And it's at places where you should feel safe, and you should go there like a movie theater to enjoy it. And it's just very tragic that people lost their lives that night.
All right, so, the morning of July 20th, 2012, I'd woken up, continued on my morning as any normal morning. I headed to my job, King Supers, here in Colorado. Was at a different store down the road doing some manager trainings. And, right before the class starts, my phone went off, and it's like, I wonder what's going on. And it was a friend, are you okay? And it's like, yeah, I'm just getting ready to do a manager training. And they told me if I'd seen the news yet. I said no, so right away went to check out a news source, and had saw that there was a shooting at the Aurora Theater. And right away, my mind started scrambling. I panicked a little bit. I grew up in Aurora. Aurora was home for a long time for me. I'm very well, knowledge of the theater out there. I've been there quite a few times. I immediately started thinking of my friends in Aurora. trying to get text messages out, anything. Like we were talking about, social media wasn't so big, and I know it's hard to believe it was only, 12 years ago, but it wasn't where it was today, where you can mark yourself safe, where you can see right away your friends are posting and you're like, okay, they're good. So, for quite a while, until I had heard from everyone, I was literally freaking out. Like, oh my gosh, I hope they're okay, everything's good. It was hard. I mean, as Keegan mentioned earlier, Colorado, we're too familiar with tragedies, and it's not the way it should be. Places where you go to shop, or you go to have entertainment, or you send your children to school, and you expect to see them that night, just like the families who went to the theater that night. They were expecting to see their sons, their daughters, their wives, their grandkids, their nephews, whoever they were, come home and be part of the family still, not to get a phone call in the morning and say, hey, it's over. So it's one thing I probably hate the most about Colorado is we have too many tragedies. Mental is a real thing. We need mental help. More and more research needs to be done. More and more help needs to be provided. And people don't necessarily seek it out. We have to help those that we notice need help. So, maybe we can put a number somewhere here on the screen or a link, but if you know anyone that just is maybe acting a little unusual, that might be a sign. Reach out, get some help. Let's put an end to some of these senseless tragedies.
So, I honestly don't remember where I was that night. I remember being told from somebody, I don't know if it was my family or if it was from Keegan, but I remember hearing about it somewhere. Can't even recall how I felt at that time, just because that was like pre my accident where my memory kind of got all jumbled up and lots of things were forgotten or just kind of come at very different times. But I do remember hearing about it. I just can't recall any of the other details. Like I do remember it happening, but as fine as those finer details of where I was, and I mean, I was probably shocked by it, guaranteed, because of all the other incidences that happened. And yeah, I can't recall in specific details everything that happened, but it's still sad and very disheartening nonetheless.
All right, so here we are in Aurora, Colorado at the 720 Memorial. We're going to take a walk around, show you guys what we do see here, as we pay tribute to the victims of 720 and, those who lost their lives that day. Welcome to everyone to right, so behind me is the actual monument that the artists in the city came to agreement upon. There are birds all over this area. The birds represent those that were injured and shot that day. They all kind of circle around what they call the Ascension. These are the 13 birds that represent the 13 victims that lost their lives that day. Not only are they not the same color, all the other birds in the area are white. These ones are made pretty much of the stainless steel or whatever the metal is that they had used on it. All right, so, we do this for a reason. We ask you, thank you for joining us first off, but, we want to pay respect to these victims, and we truly believe in giving them a nice little tribute. So if you want to see more of our Memoriam videos, please click the link right here to my right. If you want to check out more about us here at Culz Paranormal, including our most recent interview with our buddy Johnny, click the link right here to the right. And don't forget to give us a like and subscribe.